access the PDF, you can get that PDF. Abhi thodi der mein, yeah, the PDF will be printed and given it to you. But if you can access digitally, you can open it. ठीक है? Firstly, very good afternoon, online and offline, everyone. So the main agenda of this classroom is to give you one of the low-hanging fruits, that is mapping. On an average, mapping, the questions are asked near about 25 to 30 marks questions are asked. Now, these are some low-hanging fruits, but the biggest problem here is students find it very difficult. What you have to do here is, if your observation skills are little good and few current affairs linkage, you can easily get that low-hanging fruits. Now, that is the agenda. Now, for that observation skills, what you have to do is keep your atlas aside, and any atlas is fine. You can either use the atlas of Oxford Atlas or TTK Atlas, any atlas is fine. And today we shall be covering up the Africa part. Now in this Africa part, what we will be doing is, we'll be covering both the static and the current affairs. Now in order to understand current affairs, you definitely need to have an idea about the static. Okay? How many of you are good with the static? Online, what you can do is, if you have any doubts, you can also comment in the comment section. I can also access your comments. Okay. Anant, hi, and very good afternoon. Okay. So how many of you are good with the static? Sara hi pata hai. Everyone is good. So can you recall what are the mountains in Africa? Can you recall what are the lakes? If I ask you, what are the lakes of the Great Rift Valley? And is Lake Victoria part of the part of the Rift Valley lakes, or Tanganyika? So are you in a position to comprehend or not? See, the first problem here is you need to have an idea about Africa, both the physical as well as human aspects. Africa is one such continent, it's a cradle for physical geography. But you cannot learn everything and anything that is there in Africa. But what you have to do is, you have to pick up those aspects which are important for the examination. And that is what we are going to do it in the class. Now trust me, the coming time, maybe 1.5 to 2 hours of time, whatever we are going to spend, that will be the qualitative time. And you can expect in the upcoming next 5 classes, at least, you will have the ability to either eliminate or to score all the mapping questions in UPSC. Either you will have the potential to eliminate them, or you will have the potential to answer them. So that is the standard which I will be taking you to. Initially, we'll be spending some time on the static, and then we'll integrate with the current affairs, and later we'll mug it up, because few aspects will help you in mugging up also. Some content will be mugging up, and at the end we'll summarize and we'll learn the entire Africa. Like that, we'll be doing for every continent, static plus current affairs and the mapping part. Now, as a student, what you are expected to do is open your atlas, open the Africa, and I also request you to open a plain page. And this handout, I think online wale, please download it. And offline you will be given a printed material for this. So be patient for some time, it will be out. Any atlas is fine, whichever atlas you are comfortable, you can take it. Okay. First, we'll start with the static mapping of Africa, and today's agenda, what are we going to cover in Africa? See, from the current affairs side, there are many coups that have taken place in Africa, near about 8 coups in the last 2.5 years. Okay? Last year also there were questions asked, and this year also you can expect questions, because current affairs, these coups are again and again happening. So it is very, very important for you. Next, we also need to look into Egypt, Nile River, and also the 2 major lakes of the Egypt that you need to understand. Next, Maghreb region. This Maghreb region is a region where the region which is having border with either Mediterranean Sea or that of the Atlantic Ocean in the northwest of Africa. Usually this includes the male countries. Now what are male countries? You open Africa, the map of Africa, you will find that first thing in the static part which you need to know is M, A, L, E. Okay? So these are called as male countries. Now, Along with Tunisia, you will call this part of the region as Male T, right? Clear? So if suppose a question is asked on Mediterranean Sea, what you can do is, these are some of the mnemonics that will help you to understand in an easy manner. So male countries plus this is the African part, and you'll also have a European part, you'll also have an Asian part for the Mediterranean Sea. Now here if you look into the Mauritania and this part of the region, you'll call it as the Maghreb region. So this Maghreb region is also in use. Why is it in use? We'll also look into it, right? Like that, we'll also be doing for many of the other regions with mnemonics, simple understanding we'll be doing it. Next, you see Morocco. When you look into Morocco, there's Strait of Gibraltar, Atlas Mountains, and Canary Current. They are interlinked. Canary Current, I hope most of you know. It is a cold current because of which the good nutrients are there, and there is a special fish that comes to this part of the region in search of the food. Unke piche piche, you will see the dolphins that are coming to this part of the region, right? But the climate that is associated with the Canary Current in the Morocco part and in the Western Africa part is desert. It is because of this. We'll look into it. And Ethiopia and Tigray region, see, Tigray is a region of Ethiopia. In this part of the region, there is an emergency that has been declared. Now, why you go to Ethiopia? Again, first let me give an overview so that you can later on identify the places easily, right? See, this is part of, in Ethiopia, this part of the region is called as Tigray, and here it is called as Amhar. Okay? So there is a lake. Can you name this lake? Lake? Yes? Lake Tan. Now, this lake is important because the conflicts of these two regions and the emergency that has imposed has impacted this lake, right? UPSC has got the habit of asking these lakes. कहीं से उड़ के आता है, पता भी नहीं. After that, institutes will tell you, ये यहाँ से है, वहाँ से है. But lakes of Africa are very, very important, especially all those lakes which are falling into the Rift Valley and any lake which is in the news. So since last 2-3 years, these lakes have turned also out to be very, very important, right? So we will also be looking into this from the current affairs point of view. Next is Somalia, that is Horn of Africa. What are the countries which are part of Horn of Africa? There are 7 countries of Horn of Africa. We'll look into that. Other one is Rwanda. See, there's a conflict of Hutsu and Tutsi tribes. Because of that, there are certain lakes which are now polluted. There is a long history of reasons that are there. We'll look into the tribal community and also the location of Rwanda. It is a small country which is lying in the Rift Valley lakes and the lakes that are surrounded, and the bordering countries also you need to know. Next one is Lake Victoria. You know that Lake Victoria is also the source of White Nile, and it is one of the longest lake. But this Lake Victoria is not part of the Great Rift Valley, right? Mozambique and Kofe National Park. This national park, you have seen the population of lions and leopards increased. Now, how is that related to India? You need to know. Republic of Equatorial Guinea and turmoil in Nigeria and Gulf of Guinea. Okay, these are some of the current affairs aspects which we need to look into. But before that, we have to understand the overlay and the outlay of this mapping based questions. See, on an average, when you look into mapping based questions, how many questions are asked? I've taken the data of the last 2 years, and on that basis, I've put this number. Because, see, generally, if UPSC starts to ask, there is a trend, that kind of questions will be asked for 3 years. Now, this is a general trend. Whosoever will understand, there are some reasons behind the empanelment of the examiner also. They are there for 3 years. Maybe that might be the reason. Okay. Considering it that, we'll also look into the trend of the past 3 years. If you see here, India-based questions, there are 4. History-based location questions, there are 3. They will ask about ports and world mapping and all, there are 9 questions. Apart from that, international, there are 2 questions. So it is not just learning about the physiography, you will get marks. No. Physiography will only give you a maximum of 9 questions. Out of this 9, if you are learning too much, you will get near about 5 or 6 right, and 2 or 3, hamesha, it goes as a bouncer, right? So that's why we have to approach this in an integrative manner. For suppose if you are learning Africa, maybe we need to look into the physiography and also the humanistic aspects, the vegetation also that is associated, and the animals and the species, maybe a national park which is in use. So in an integrative manner, when we do it, you will get a decent score. So we'll start in this. Firstly, see here, this is how your Africa looks. Now make an imprint. In the south you have desert. You can also look into your atlas. I'll play it again. In the south you have a desert by the name Kalahari Desert and Namib Desert. If you identify it, you can mark it. Okay? Look into the physical map. Okay? Firstly, you come from the south. See here. Now I'll point out few places. I also want you to point out them in your atlas. Now first see, in your physical map, you will find a place by the name Karu land. And here you will find mountains. These are escarpments. What are these escarpments called? Drakensberg. Okay. Did you find the Drakensberg escarpments? Now what are these escarpments? See, escarpments means on one side of the hill they are very steep, on the other side they are very gentle. Okay? India mein Western Ghats are also called as escarpments. The problem with the escarpments is, wherever there are escarpments, ports may not function well until and unless you have very good infrastructure built. Okay? Let me repeat it. The problem of the escarpment is, escarpment does look like this. Suppose this is a normal mountain, but an escarpment mountain will be like this. Okay? On one side, the slope is somewhere around 45 degrees or more, near to 90 degrees to 45 degrees, this will be there. Suppose here you are establishing a port. Okay? Wouldn't it be difficult to connect on to the other side until and unless you cut down that mountains and enter that access? Now this is the problem with the India also. Those ports on the western side, that they are very beautiful locations, natural ports, but still if you do not have the infrastructure and the connectivity well, the ports, they may not be of much use. But we are lucky enough that Mumbai has some passes and all, we can do it. So you see, when it comes to these escarpments, here you find this Drakensberg escarpment. Did you find it? First thing. Now understand the concept of escarpments, and I'll tell you one more reason. See, Africa is also called as the dark continent. Okay? Africa was once called as a dark continent. Why? Why is Africa called a dark continent? Undiscovered. Okay? I'll come to that also. Okay. You got to understand this. Now here you find Karu land. Now what are these Karu? Can anyone tell me? What are Karu? Karu matlab dry lands. Okay? Karu means they are very dry lands. Now here, Karu lands are like this. Look, you know that there is cold water current present in the south. I hope everyone knows it. There is a cold water which is present in the south of this. West wind drift water hota hai. So wherever there are cold waters, usually there are deserts associated with that and not much of good rainfall. And this is the region where you will find westerlies belt. Now here, these Karu lands are present like this. There is a mountainous range and a plain. Mountain range, plain. Mountain range, plain. Like this, these plain lands which are there, they are very, very dry lands. Now these dry lands are called as Karu lands. Okay? Clear? Okay. This is the first thing. Now come little more north of the Karu. The rest of the dry lands, extreme dry lands which you are going to see, these are called as, there are two deserts, they are present. One is Namib Desert and the other one is Kalahari Desert. Right? Namib and Kalahari. Now go little more north, you will find the Savannah region. Now what is Savannah? Savannah is nothing but grasslands. Okay? Grasslands, see, if there is good enough rainfall, you will have good vegetation. Okay? Trees will grow tall. Now look here, as you are moving towards the equator, from the south, the rainfall also increases. Okay? The rainfall peaks at the equator in either cases. And also, if you are looking from the north, the rainfall also increases as you are going towards the equator. Right? Remember this is the case of Africa. And now, in this Africa, broadly the Africa can be divided into, in the north, this is Sahara region. Just of the north of Sahara, the south of the Sahara, you will find another region by the name Sahel. Okay? Now, what is this Sahel? Can anyone tell me? Sahel, basically till here, you will find Sahara. It is a transition zone, no doubt, but this part of the region is called as Sahel region. And interesting aspect here is, all the countries which are there in the Sahel, except for one country, there was a coup in the last 3 years. Okay? There was a coup in the last 3 years. Now, if UPSC can also ask you, Sahel region extends from where to where, which country to which country. Now, go and find in your atlas, on the western side, do you find Senegal? Okay? Okay? Senegal. Now, from Senegal to onto the east, Sudan. Okay? Do you find Sudan? From Senegal to Sudan, this is the extension from west to east extension. Now, in this, I'll tell you the countries you point out in your atlas. First, it is Mali. You can also write in your atlas itself. Mali, the coup happened in 2020. Okay? Next to Mali, you'll find Niger. Okay? Next to Mali, Niger, the coup happened in the year 2022. Next, Chad. Again, coup happened in the year 2021. Go to Sudan, the coup happened in 2021. Right? So, next, Mauritania, there's a country on the extreme west. There are some disturbances in Mauritania. More or less, now the entire Sahel region, if you look into, it has some kind of the other disturbances. Now, Sahel region, how does this look? It is just like when you go towards, from Rajasthan to, when you are transitioning from Gujarat to Rajasthan, whatever the kind of vegetation that you get to see, the similar kind of vegetation you will get to see there. It is the semi-caruellum plants, that is nothing but your keycurd plantations will be there. The rainfall is not too much, it is seasonal rainfall, migration of animals will take place, and seasonally it will be dry. There can be pseudo monsoons that you can get to see here. So here the instability, the population is also not too much. All these countries you look into, the population is not more than the 3 crore to 5 crore population से ऊपर नहीं है, बहुत ही कम population है, ठीक है? They are very less populated countries but very large areas. Overall, Sahel region this year it becomes very very important for the examination. ठीक है? Sahel extends all the way from Senegal से लेकर Sudan तक. Now, coup also you got to see, and couple of more countries which I wanted you to point out. First one is Gabon, which is on the equator. Go to equator. I'll explain the vegetation. 5 minutes. First, let's look into the coup. Go to the Gabon. Gabon is on the equator. Now, this you got to see a coup attempt in the year 2023, this year. Go to another country, that is Sierra Leone. It is on the extreme west. It is here. Coup also happened here in the year December 2023. The attempt to coup also took place here. Next, Burkina Faso. This is Burkina Faso. Right? Again, there's a coup. So overall, if you look into, in the last 2-3 years, these are the countries that have undergone coup, either coup attempts or coup has happened. Clear? Now coming to the vegetation. Vegetation of this particular region. If you look into the vegetation broadly, first let me give you a visualistic aspects of this vegetation so that this is how this region looks. Green during the times of rainfall, and you see the Western Africa, seasonally it will have westerlies receiving also. Okay? Seasonally it will have westerlies also. As you all know that movement of north and south of the ITCZ zone, it will bring monsoons. But in Africa, it is not monsoon, it is pseudo-monsoon. Now what is this pseudo-monsoon? See, monsoon in literal terms means seasonal reversal of the winds. That means the wind should go in one direction and in other season they should come back in the same direction. Pseudo-monsoon means usually the winds travel in one direction, they rain, and the other side it is dry. Okay, that is called as pseudo monsoon. So this part of the region also experiences pseudo monsoon. On one season you'll get to see. Now this is how it looks, and most of the times it is dry. People experiences water crisis and also political crisis. It is a root cause in their physiography itself. Political crisis is a root cause in their physiography. Clear? Now try to imprint this. Take your time, couple of seconds or triple of seconds, whatever it is. Take a time and try to imprint this in your mind, because this is very, very important. Try to remember the countries. Senegal to Sudan and Eritrea. Okay? Senegal to Sudan and Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan. Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan. And other way to remember the top countries is that here it is male countries, male T. This is T is Tunisia. So here you have male T countries. Now Senegal to almost Sudan, that is Eritrea. This is your Sahel region. And see, some basics of Africa when you look into. Africa is called as a dark continent. Why is it called a dark continent? Because most of Africa is a plateau. Most of Africa is plateau, and there's a concept by the name out of Africa. How many of you know what do you mean by out of Africa concept? Before I teach the current affairs, let's complete the basics. We'll spend some 15 to 20 odd minutes here. What is the concept of out of Africa? This was in news last year also, because there are many researchers in the anthropology side that out of Africa concept they have validated. So what do you mean by out of Africa? Anyone who can comment in the comment sections or online, offline? Yes. Let's see. Is Eritrea also included in Sahel? Yes, yes. Western part of Eritrea is also included in Sahel region. आज online काफ़ी अच्छा response है. There are near about 250 odd students. Very good to see. Okay. Please keep replying. So, what is out of Africa concept? See, out of Africa in literal terms means it is an anthropogenical concept, which was in news article. It says that the man originated in Africa and moved out from Africa. Now, the African route which they have taken is that it is through Nile. Look here, broadly speaking, if you look into this African map as a whole, look into your physical map. Okay? If you have your atlas, keep your physical map. Now, this is your Ethiopian plateau, the Ethiopian highlands. It is said that man originated here, and then man took the route of the Nile, and from here the man started to move out, right? And you see there is a concept associated with environment also here. One who leads the environment, the old world monkeys and the new world monkeys, you might have heard the concept. Old world monkeys, jitne bhi old world monkeys hai na, they are present in those areas which are taken by this route. Old world monkeys and new world monkeys, what is the difference? The new world monkeys mostly stay on the tree. Okay? They are arboreal in nature. The new world monkeys, they can stay on the land, they can stay on the tree also. जैसे बंदर बोलते हैं ना, proper बंदर is a old world monkey. The big tail which you get to see, they are old world, right? जैसे lemurs and all, they are also your. See, this is called as Madagascar. Madagascar is also called as Lemuria land. Okay? Why it is called Lemuria land? You have lot of lemurs here. But the old world monkeys in literal terms is the bandar which you see in India. India में जो बंदर मिलता है, that is same. Now where do you find the new world monkeys? The new world monkeys you will see in South America. ठीक है? South America. Most of the monkeys which are there, they will always stay on the trees. Okay. Now in this format, this is what is the concept of out of Africa. Now coming to, it is also called as a dark age, dark continent. एक minute. Okay, some basics देख लेते. See, second largest continent, most popular and Greenwich meridian भी pass होता है, equator भी pass होता है. ठीक है, Tropic of Cancer also passes through, Tropic of Capricorn also passes through. This is one continent where you see all the major lines are passing through. Here you are also expected to know the countries that are passing through as well. But before that, the basics here are one, just a minute. Okay, this is also an image of Sahel region. Now come back. Here, I was talking about Africa as a dog continent. Why? It is because if you look into Africa, here until 18th century, no one has explored Africa. Okay, properly. Why? It is because you look into the physiography. This is equatorial rainforest. Entry is not that easy for outsiders, foreign. And you know that there is a concept that if there is any ship to cross the equator, it is very, very difficult. Okay? To cross the equator, it is very, very difficult. Now, that has some static concepts. Just understand that crossing equator is a very difficult. Vasco da Gama is the luckiest fellow who has crossed equator and came to India. That is altogether a different concept. But the reasons behind dark continent is that here, in this part of the region, you have desert. Here also you have deserts and mountains on this side. Equatorial rainforest. So the window to enter Africa was always through the Nile Valley. Okay? And it is said that the people originated in Ethiopia. So the contact to Africa was mostly through this Nile Valley. So Egypt is explored mostly, and most of the history is written in the Egypt, and it is connected with the rest of the world. And you look into the rest of the Africa, there's not much connected, and later on whosoever came in exploitation you got to see. So these are some historical reasons and physiographical reasons as well. The dark continent, it is called only because it is not explored until the 18th and 19th century properly. Okay? Discovery of Africa took place long back, but exploration of Africa was less. That's why it is called as dark continent. Okay? And see, दुनिया का सबसे ज़्यादा temperature, the highest temperature, where did you find? If you have your atlas, you can turn one more page of your atlas, any atlas, you will find the temperatures that are mentioned. The highest temperature is found in Al Azizia. Yes, 57.7 degrees Celsius, 58 degrees Celsius. This is where you find. So if you are having either Oxford Atlas or TTK Atlas, just Africa page hota hai, open Africa page, here you will find the temperature mentionings. Okay? This is where you find one of the highest temperatures, right? And one more thing, exploration of Africa was very, very difficult because Africa do not have wide beaches. Why it do not have wide beaches? Because it's a rift valley, and it is also majorly part of plateaus. See, Africa is like this. If you look into all the plateaus which are there, the Portland, it shall be like this. Imagine this is your Africa. Africa, most of Africa is on the tableland, and here a small area of beach. The distance is very less. Even if you are establishing a port, people who are living on the tops, it is very difficult for them to access the hinterlands. So that's why, irrespective of the total number of ports in Africa, the accessibility of hinterlands is a difficult task. That's the reason why the product costs in Africa also increase as soon as they go into the interior lands. Right? These are some geographical reasons. Now, come back. Here, we shall be looking into the countries that are passing through the equator. Okay? Open your atlas, start from Gabon, identify Gabon on the equator, Congo, next Democratic Republic of Congo, did you find it? Followed by Uganda, and then Kenya, Somalia. Total how many countries? Yes? Yes. And see, do you have Guinea? The Guinea, is it also there on the equator? Yes. Are there any other countries which are present on the equator of Africa? I'm only talking about Africa. GC Dukes is the logic. I'll explain after 5 to 7 minutes. Just write it here. This is how you are supposed to remember it. Okay? GC Dukes, that is Gabon, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, and Somalia. Okay? GC Dukes. This is one way to remember. Maybe if you are good with making your own mnemonics, you can also make your own mnemonics. Okay? Gabon, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya. Yes. Clear? Now come to the next component, that is the physiographic regions. I hope you're already aware of the physiographic regions. You know that this northern part is Sahara, then you have Sahel, then you have the savanna grasslands also, followed by the equatorial rainforest. Then again you will find the savanna, followed by the deserts, right? This. Now coming to the region of Sahel, see, as you move from north, Sahel region, it is present from Senegal to Eritrea. Okay? In fact, Sahel to Sudan is the proper word, but Eritrea, you also find the western part. And Eritrea, they are having depressions. Okay? They have very big depressions. See, Africa is one such country which has lowlands. Can you name any depression which is there in Africa? There are 3 depressions which can be found. Depressions means if the sea level is 0 meters, there are areas where 300 meters below the sea level valley. Okay? Now I'll point it out. One is Danakil Depression. You'll find it here. This part of the region. Go and look into the, please look into the atlas. Did you find? Next, go to Katara Depression. You'll find it here. Somewhere here. Okay? And one more depression in Tunisia. Go to Tunisia. Male T countries are, male plus T is Tunisia. T is Tunisia. Did you find a depression there? So these are the 3 major depressions that you will find in Africa. Okay? So out of these 3 depressions, one depression is in news. That is Danakil Depression. Okay? Why is it in news? Anyone who can tell me? Depression means not mental depression, it is physiological depression. Okay? Physical depression hota hai. See, basically, these depressions are formed because of the upliftment of the Rift Valley. There are few areas that are uplifted during the Rift Valleys. That's why these depressions are formed. And see, depressions are those areas, if there is any change in the rise in the sea level, these are the ones which are going to get very flooded easily. And in this depression, sometimes you also see a river passing through. And the river which has gone through below the sea level, it is very difficult for that to rise up. Now, go and look into a river which is there in Tunisia. They are small streams. These are called as depression streams. Okay? Here depression mein, you will also find small streams. If examiner can go up to that level, make it difficult, he can or she can. Else, this is not much important. Right? Now, come to the next component. See, Sahel, Savannah, and the Guinea region. Guinea region is nothing but, this is the region of very good vegetation. Right? Okay. Come to the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer. Please point out the countries that are passing through the Tropic of Cancer. Take a minute time. Please go through it. Now, does the Sahel region has Tropic of Cancer passing through? Does the Sahel region has Tropic of Cancer passing through it? Yes, yeah, no. It is yes. Okay? Sahel region has Tropic of Cancer passing through it. See, in the Sahel you have Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. Okay? The Tropic of Cancer is acting as a boundary for Sahel region. And see the Great Green Wall. Have you heard of it? What is this Great Green Wall? It's not biosphere reserves. See, great green walls are, it is, you know that this part of the region is fully desert. Have you heard of the concept called desertification? Desertification is nothing but the deserts moving into the interior lands. So all the countries which are there in the Sahel region, they have agreed that with the UN project, they wanted to build a great green wall. That means they wanted to plant trees here so that the desert do not extend to itself, right? And this is also taken place in the Sahel region, right? So maybe the Great Green Wall, Sahel, Tropic of Cancer, kahin na kahin linkages ho sakta hai. I mean, we cannot expect, but you should be watchful of these things. Okay, did you identify the countries? The first country, it is Western Sahara. Okay. Next one, Mauritania. Then you have male countries. In that male countries, see, here the male countries is Mauritania, M-A-L-E, right? So the Tropic of Cancer, easy to remember, it is the male countries. Here the male is not the Morocco, but the Mauritania, right? Okay. Egypt, Libya, Niger, Algeria, Mali, Mauritania, and Western Sahara. I think it is easy for you to remember. Okay. See, Tropic of Capricorn, एक minute. Once quickly look into the Tropic of Capricorn. See, if Tropic of Cancer in Africa is acting as a boundary for the desert to stop extending in the name of the Great Green Wall, which is present in Sahel region, if you look into the Tropic of Capricorn, it is clearly passing through the deserts. You see Namib Desert, you'll also see Kalahari Desert, okay, Botswana, these are the desert regions. It is dominantly passes through the desert region. Another observation which you can go forward for. Now look into the countries. First one is Namibia, followed by Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. Plus, yes? Zimbabwe, I think it should be the ek baar recheck karna. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Okay. Okay. It is already written here. You can form your own mnemonics. देखो हमने कोशिश किया था थोड़ा आसान बनाने के लिए. ठीक है. If this is syncing for you, fine. If it is not syncing for you, well, you can also create your own names. No boats for South Africa, mom. ठीक है. But I don't think these are all practically possible for you to remember. You can create your own, right? Just इस टाइप का सवाल तो एग्जाम में पूछेंगे नहीं, बट जस्ट यू नीड टू बी वॉचफुल. एटलीस्ट आपको पता चलेगा रे यार डेजर्ट कंट्री से पास हो रहा है, ताकि आई कैन लुक इन टू इट. हाँ, डेजर्ट्स इन साउथ अफ्रीका, सॉरी साउथ पार्ट ऑफ द अफ्रीका, इट इज मेजरली नमीबिया, बोत्सवाना, नेक्स्ट साउथ अफ्रीका एंड मोजाम्बिक. ओके, क्विकली वंस लुक इन टू द प्राइम मेरिडियन एज वेल. Just be watchful. I don't think these kind of questions are being asked by UPSC, but just be watchful of it. First one, Algeria, followed by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Ghana, Togo. Boundary line. It is they are taking as a boundary line. Okay. Now, important seas. I want you to point out these important seas. First one is Mediterranean Sea. Let's look into the Mediterranean Sea and try to address the boundaries which are present north and south of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, African part of Mediterranean Sea, can you recall what are the countries which are bordering the Mediterranean Sea? Male plus T. Okay. Now come to the Asia part. Asia part, you will go to Turkey. Okay. Turkey is also bordering. Do you have Syria bordering it? Chalo, let's see. Let me take you to the handout. You also have handout with you now, right? So here, just a minute. Okay, come. or else you can also keep your atlas and write it on the atlas itself. See, Mediterranean Sea has the boundaries of 1 Africa, 2nd Europe, and the 3rd Asia. ठीक है? African part it is very easy. ठीक है? You guys can remember it very easily. Page number, someone can help in getting the page. Page number 6. Okay. I feel the difficult part to remember the countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea is those which are present in this part of the region, especially in Europe, right? So for that, a small mnemonic which we can build, that is your BAMS. Please once go and look into the Adriatic Sea. Adriatic Sea. Okay? Here we'll try to remember Adriatic Sea bordering countries as well as Mediterranean Sea bordering countries. If you don't get it in the African map, go to European map, you'll get it. Look here, Adriatic Sea on one side it is covered by Italy. Okay? One side it is fully covered by Italy. On the other side, you'll get to see the BAMS countries. See, BAMS plus BAMS is nothing but Bosnia, Albania, Montenegro, and Slovenia. Right? Greece plus Croatia. ठीक है? Greece plus Croatia. याद रहेगा? Can you? So first see here, Mediterranean Sea bordering countries, male plus T countries plus BAMS. BAMS is nothing but Bosnia, Albania, Montenegro and Slovenia plus Greece and Croatia. कहीं ना कहीं in the examination, if you recall it multiple number of times, it will help you to recall it. Right? याद तो आ ही जाएगा. ठीक है? BAMS plus Croatia and Greece. ठीक है? Next. These are the European part which is little difficult, and see here, currently if you look into the bordering countries of the Adriatic Sea, that is Italy, BAMS plus Greece and Croatia. Italy, BAMS plus Greece and Croatia. You can also repeat in your mind if you're feeling it shy or one or the other way. Italy, BAMS plus Greece and Croatia. This is how the bordering countries of Adriatic Sea are there, right? Next, that means those countries that are bordering Adriatic Sea, they are also bordering Mediterranean Sea. Now, additionally, BAMS, that is Bosnia, Albania, Montenegro, and Slovenia, plus Greece and Croatia, plus the male countries, that is, please recall, don't feel shy, UKG बच्चे बन जाओ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ठीक है? एग्जाम में मार्क्स मिलेगा. Yes, male countries are Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and E is Egypt, plus T is Tunisia. ठीक है? Male T, BAMS plus Croatia and Greece, and now comes, there are two countries which also have bordering with, one with the sea, Atlantic Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, that is your France and Spain. Spain has boundary lines with Mediterranean Sea as well as Atlantic Ocean. ठीक है? France, it also has Atlantic Ocean and this. Now one more country which has both, that is Morocco, which has Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Sea. So there are three countries which are having boundary lines with both Atlantic Ocean as well as Mediterranean Sea. Yes. UK, he asked a question, sir, will there be UK here? See, yes. Now UK has overseas territories. कितने सारे overseas territories है UK का? You look into a small strait here. This is a strait by the name Strait of Gibraltar. Strait of Gibraltar, if you are looking into here, it is bordered by UK and Spain. See, basically, you go and look into this in little more detail. Here, you zoom in. Gibraltar, Strait of Gibraltar is there. This Gibraltar is a overseas territory of UK. ठीक है? This is an overseas territory of UK and UK controls it. So now if he says UK, हाँ, UK होगा overseas territory Gibraltar. वैसे छोटे छोटे islands और भी है. Other countries, France islands are also there, but France is, yes, Malta. These islands are there, but I don't think UPSC इतना तक अभी तक तो गया नहीं है. I still feel only way Mediterranean Sea तक याद करेंगे. I don't think beyond that it will make some sense to us as well, right? Looking into the previous patterns. If UK is given, mark it UK also, because Strait of Gibraltar is there. Now this Gibraltar is an overseas territory of UK. Okay, can you recall all these countries of the Mediterranean Sea bordering? Take a minute time, please recall them. MALT, BAMS plus Croatia and Greece, and the countries that are bordering with both Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Yes? Okay. Another component is the Asia component. See, in Asia, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Cyprus. You can please look into your atlas. Syria, I think you guys can easily connect it. Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Cyprus. Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Cyprus. So these are the bordering countries of the Mediterranean Sea. Palestine, देखो. Gaza, Indian context mein, if it is given, mark it, because we have the policy of recognition. ठीक है? Dehyphenation. Yes. But itna controversy again UPSC will not enter into. ठीक है? Okay. Now we have learned the boundary lines of Adriatic Sea as well as Mediterranean Sea. Now, as we have anyways dealt this part of the regions, I want to go into little more deeper. Now, can you please find a route between India and Russia through Mediterranean Sea? Okay. If I wanted to go all the way from Mumbai to Russia via Mediterranean Sea, please open your atlas and find me a route. I want a sea route only. I only want a sea route. Okay. I'll start from Mumbai, then I'll go into the Gulf of Aden, and then into Red Sea. From Red Sea, Suez Canal I'll go into the Mediterranean Sea, and from there, directly Black Sea or Mediterranean Sea ke beech mein, there's lot of straits, that is Strait of Bosphorus. Can you please go into Turkey and look into the Strait of Bosphorus? There is a river by the name Bosphorus. This Bosphorus river, which divides the Turkey into Asian part of Turkey and the European part of Turkey. Okay? That Strait of Bosphorus, before Strait of Bosphorus, can you see the Sea of Marmara and the Sea of Dardanelles? Okay? See, I want you to identify these places in your atlas. One is Sea of Marmara, Dardanelles Sea, Strait of Kerch, and Bosphorus, Sea of Azovs. See, why am I asking is this? Because currently, because of the Israel and Iran bombing, these all places are in news, because our INSTC, International North-South Corridor, where we wanted to take Syria into confidence, we also wanted to take Iran into confidence, but our both friends went into a fight, because of which India transportation will get impacted. In this context, if we wanted to go to Russia, earlier we thought of going it through the INSTC, but now this might be one of the route which we have to explore, though it is a costly route, but we can still think of. So these all places can be used. Now take time. If you have to go from India to Russia all the way through Black Sea, then what are the places that you have to go through? First thing, you'll come to Gulf of Aden, then enter into Red Sea to Suez Canal to Mediterranean Sea to, from here on you tell me the road. Here between Mediterranean Sea and the Strait of Kerch, the Sea of Marmara, the Dardanelles Sea, Strait of Kerch, and Strait of Bosphorus. See, this Strait of Bosphorus is present here. This is Strait of Bosphorus. ठीक है, Bosphorus river bridge होता है वहां पर. Now what is this sea? ठीक है, Dardanelles. Now from here you will enter into Black Sea. ठीक है, Black Sea, and from here this is Strait of Kerch, and this is Sea of Azovs, right? So make a marking in your atlas or in a separate paper. Please make sure to remember this. Now come to Red Sea. Can you please identify the countries that are bordering the Red Sea? Yes, recall. First, Saudi. Okay. So an easy way to remember here is seeds. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. See, when it comes to Red Sea, Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea, Yemen, and Djibouti, plus Saudi Arabia. ठीक है? Total how many countries? 6. Now, does Israel has border with the Red Sea? Does Israel has boundary with Red Sea? The answer will be no, because this is not Red Sea, this is a Gulf. ठीक है? Now, what is the difference between Gulf, Bay, and Bight? What is the difference between Gulf, Bay, and Bight? In Africa, when you open the Africa on the western side, you will find a place by the name Bight of Biafra. See, strait is a connecting agent between two seas, such as Strait of Gibraltar connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Atlantic Ocean, right? Likewise, strait connects two seas. Kerch connects two continents or two land masses. But whereas Gulf is a narrow opening, very narrow opening. If the opening is little wider, then it is called bay. Okay? If the opening is very wide, it is called bight. Now go and find bights which are present in this place. You have bights which are there here. Bight of Bonny, Bight of Biafra. ठीक है, basically you need to understand what is a bight, right? Bight in literal terms is you have a very wide opening. ठीक है, bay is three sides, water is open but little wider opening. More wider opening is called as bight, right? Okay. Gulfs will come little later, but there are other important aspects which I want you to know. Coming to lakes. See, lakes are very, very important, and please make sure to mark all of these lakes, and these lakes are also given in your handout. You can also open in your handout. Let me show you first in your handout. कहाँ पे दिया होगा? Can you tell me the page number? Page number 11. Okay. No. There will be more. It is regarding Lake Victoria is given here. Okay. Major Great Lakes in Africa. In a handout, there is a small correction that you have to do here. See, your handout says that Lake Victoria is part of the Rift Valley, but Lake Victoria is not part of the Rift Valley. Lake Victoria is one of the biggest lakes. It is not part of the Rift Valley. See, the lakes which are present in the Rift Valley are majorly 6 major lakes are there, and I want you to look into this 6 major lakes. See, please identify these lakes. Now first, let's look into how does the Rift Valley looks. In Africa, the Rift Valley looks like a hook. Okay? Look here. Lower part, it is straight. When it comes to, it has 2 wings as it is going. Okay? Look here, this is Lake Victoria. And Lake Victoria is not part of the Rift Valley, but it is in between the Rift Valley. Right? So, handout में ये दिया हुआ Lake Victoria is part, but please strike it off. Now, start from the north. In your map also it is given, there are some points that are written in the form. Just say, look at this map. Underline, or you can also write along with that. Just a minute. Yes. First one, identify the lake, Lake Albert. Followed by Edward. Then Kivu. ठीक है? Lake Kivu. समझ नहीं आया? Edward. I'll come. First, let's go in. कहाँ पे? हैंडआउट में. मतलब करेक्शन कर लो. वैसे तो दोनों है. Both are there in the Rift Valley. Lake Tanganyika. हाँ. Lake Tanganyika. Yes. Tanganyika, basically the tribal people who are living, they have a relationship with the Tamil. ठीक है? The slang of this is associated with Tamil. Tanganyika Lake. And also there is another lake called Titicaca. It is in which continent? Lake Titicaca. South America. ठीक है? Tanganyika is here, Titicaca is there. Next. Lake Meru. Please mark it in your atlas. आप atlas ढूंढ लो या फिर आपका handout में, because this should be a one-stop solution for you to revise, because ये एक दिन में आपको याद नहीं रहेंगे. What we'll do is, whatever we have learned today, in the next class, in the first 20 minutes or 15 minutes, we have to revise everything, ताकि आपको imprint हो जाए. And the next day, again, we have to revise this, the second day class also. Like that, multiple revisions will help you to imprint in your mind. And Tukrana, Lake Tukrana, here. And Lake Malawi. Lake Malawi. Okay. And star mark लगा के रिको. It is not, Lake Victoria is not part of this. Quick facts, let's quickly look into this. The first lake is Lake Kariba. These are some of the important lakes. These are not part of the Rift Valley lakes. This is one of the largest lake which is the man-made reservoir. Now why is this in news? It is because, see, whenever there is summer in the north, there is winter in the south. The summer season, last summer season, this particular reservoir, the lake which is there, almost dried up. The water availability is less than 6% of its normal. Only 6% of the water was left during the summers. That means extreme summers. That's the reason why this is there in news. That is Lake Kariba. कहाँ पे है? Zimbabwe की boundary lines पर है. In your atlas, you just mark it. or else if it is not there in the handout, just add it, that only 6% of the water was left, right? Next, Lake Nyasa. Now this Nyasa has boundary between, go little south, one Tanzania, second one is Zambia, and Mozambique, Malawi. See, it is present, it is acting as a boundary between these 4 countries, Tanzania, Zambia, Malawi, and Mozambique. Yes, Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia, and I think यहाँ पे एक गलत दिया यार, एक मिनट, please also write, there is an extended territory. Zambia is also there, ठीक है, just write it down, Zambia is also there, but this map do not show it, ठीक है, क्या cut off आ गया क्या? What is the cut off for prelims? Prelims का cut off? This is for general. UPSC. It is out now. 75.41. EWS it is 68.02. OBC it is 74.75. And scheduled caste it is 59.25. Scheduled tribes 47.82. Very tough paper. Huh? That yes, CSAT is the key. The reason for this, yes, true. CSAT mean I think most of the people did not even clear CSAT. इसीलिए इतना कम cut off गया. Okay. Okay, come to Tanganyika. देखो ये lakes जो करंट अफेयर्स में ना वही इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. दिस इज जस्ट टू शो यू दैट दिस लेक इज देयर, ठीक है, ताकि एग्जाम में कहीं ना कहीं ये कहाँ पर है. दे माइट आस्क यू फॉर एग्जांपल दिस लॉट ऑफ 6% वाटर अगर बचा है तो कहीं ना कहीं ये इंपॉर्टेंट बनता है. वी डोंट नो, दे माइट बी आस्किंग इट और नॉट, बट एटलीस्ट वंस योर ब्रेन हैज रीच देयर इन द एग्जामिनेशन इट विल टेल यू यार कहीं ना कहीं मैंने देखा था. तो उससे क्या होगा, इट बिकम्स लिटिल ईजी फॉर यू टू एलिमिनेट इन वन और द अदर वे. Right, these things sometimes you will skip in current affairs because there's too much of content, it is lined along. So that's why this is one way to show it to you, right? And come to Tanganyika. ये काफी important lake है, ठीक है. Why? It is the second world's largest lake by volume after Baikal Lake, Lake Baikal. Now many students have the doubt that, for example, if there is a lake, you feel that this is the largest lake. ठीक है, largest lake, is it in terms of volume of water, is it in terms of length of the water? Look at Lake Baikal. The length of the Lake Baikal is more than 120 kilometers. That is the stretch of the length. ठीक है, that very big stretches of lakes. Now depth of the lake is also very high. Now this is the second largest lake in terms of its length and depth when it is considered to be, right? So Lake Tanganyika. Now these are some of the important lakes that you need to know. एंड करंट अफेयर्स में जो है वो हम आके दोबारा डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है. ओके, रिफ्ट वैली लेक्स यू आर ऑलरेडी नोन. नाउ कम बैक टू द हैंडआउट. विल डिस्कस सर्टेन टॉपिक्स विच आर देयर इन द हैंडआउट एंड विल क्विकली स्किम थ्रू देम. See, first article which is given here is there are coups in Africa. Now you know most of the coups happened in the Sahel region. Sahel region extends from Senegal se lekar Sudan and it extends into little more Eritrea also. So the coup that has happened is, one is in Guinea and Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan plus Burkina Faso. And the Great Green Wall Initiative plus Tropic of Cancer also passes through these countries. That is Sahel region also. One thing. Now Gabon, which is there on the equator, right? Same thing is written here. ठीक है, it is, the content is written regarding the Sahel region. You can also quickly skim the content, just nothing much is there, the same thing is written in the form of handout. ठीक है, first page. That means an information about each of the country, such as if you look into Mali, ठीक है. What is the, it is present in the Sahel region, so Sahel region के बारे में लिखा है. Next, geographical condition, Sahel is a transition zone between Sahara and the equatorial or savanna. ठीक है. Next, Chad, capital city दिया है. I don't think capital city might be important, but just be watchful of it. ठीक है. Now, Chad में कौन सा लेक है? Look into Atlas. Atlas, Chad में कौन सा लेक है? Sorry, लेक Chad. ठीक है. Now come to Sudan. See, this Sudan, in this context, we should also learn about a place called Darfur. See, Darfur is a physiographic region. The western part of the Sudan is called as a Darfur. Now you go and look into the physical map of Africa, you will find a region on the western side of the Sudan as Darfur region. ठीक है. Now, what is the height of this region? Can you tell me, looking into your atlas? Yes, this Darfur region, this Sudan, it is a hilly area. ठीक है. People who are living in these hilly areas, they speak a specific language, that is Darfuri language. That's why this region is also called as Darfur. ठीक है. And here you get to see a frequent conflicts. Why? See, as this is an highland, you know that most of the times the people who are living in the island, they need some additional benefits, they need to be treated very progressively. So Sudan, in the Sudan also, these are the marginalized people who are living in the Darfur region. ठीक है. And rest of the Sudan, if you look into the Khartoum is the place where you will find, this is the capital city, right? If you look into your atlas, you will find that both the Nile rivers come and join here. Can you see both the Nile rivers come and join in this part of the region? ठीक है. That is White Nile and Blue Nile. Water availability in this part of the region is good. And hilly area, not much of water, seasonal variations are also there. That's the reason why they are deprived. Now there is always a conflict between the people who are living in the plain area, that is Nile River Valley, and the people who are living in the Darfur region. There is a conflict. Now look here, conflict of Darfur region, it is written in the content. Please just go through the lines that are written in the content. It says that the Darfur conflict began in the early 2000s, primarily fueled by the issues related to land, resources and power. See, the head of a state always comes from the plain area. ठीक है. The subordinate staff comes from the Darfur region. They don't like it. ठीक है. Always they want some power. So that's why there is a conflict. कभी कभार UPSC will get into and ask that Golan Heights is here. ठीक है. Tigray is present in this part of the region. Whereas now they might ask, अगर conflict में है तो Darfur कहाँ पर है? Right? याद रहेगा Darfur? And they have a militia, this part of the region have their own militia that is named as Janjaweed. ठीक है? Janjaweed. Now come to Burkina Faso. See, Burkina Faso, it is in the southern side of the Sahel region. Now within that Burkina Faso, you will find a river by the name Volta. ठीक है? Black Volta. अलग अलग वोल्टा. देखो, why is it that white Nile, blue Nile, black Volta, red Volta, why is these colors are given to that rivers? Soil. ठीक है? It is soil. Basically, whatever the type of soil you have, and that type of soil, the river colors also change accordingly. That's why they are given. Suppose if black Volta is there, basically you have that black soil rich there, and also black soil in Africa is an indication that that was once part of the volcanic activity as well. Next, come to Gabon. See, in Gabon, you find two different people by the name Pygmy people and Bantu people. See, Pygmy people are short people, comparatively. ठीक है? Pygmy and Bantu people, these are the specific people, specific genetic makeup which you will find in this part of the region. Right? Apart from that, there is nothing much of the information which you need to know. And Sierra Leone, here there was a failed coup in the year 2023 itself. ठीक है? Now where do you find the Sierra Leone? Near to the Western Africa, on the western bulge of Africa. Right? Now come to Egypt. Next article. Now why is this in news? Quickly give a reading. Why is this in news? क्योंकि 26 साल के बाद कोई ऐसा प्राइम मिनिस्टर इजिप्ट गया था, राइट? आफ्टर 26 years one prime minister went to Egypt. That's why it was in news. कुछ गलत बोला क्या? Then my Hindi is bad. Okay, that's why we just need to look into this particular Egypt. इसके अलावा और कुछ है नहीं है वैसे. Egypt, when you look into, first you need to look into two lakes. One is Lake Nasser, and you come to the deltaic region. Go to the delta region. In this delta region, you will find another lake by the name Lake Manzala. ये मेरे को भी याद नहीं रहता है, ठीक है? Lake Nasser and Lake Manzala. This Manzala lake is present in the deltaic region, and surprisingly, the water level in this part of the delta region is increasing, not because of the increase in the Nile River, but because of the influx of the oceanic water into the influx into the continental area. That's the reason why this particular lake which is there, it is getting saline into nature. ठीक है? इसीलिए ये न्यूज़ में था, सलाइन हो रहा है. Next, come to the Maghreb region. Now, what is this Maghreb region? I already told you, it is the region which is found in the northwestern part of Africa. Here in the Maghreb region, what are the countries that are there? Yes. See, basically, Maghreb matlab those which are having border with the Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Sea. But over a period, this particular connotation was only given to the western part of the countries. ठीक है? So as this is called as a Maghreb, कभी कभार ये पूछ सकता है Maghreb mean UPSC can go into that area. Just you need to know that one which is part of the Mediterranean Sea and that of the Atlantic Ocean के साथ boundary वाला countries है. Here one is Algeria, Libya, Morocco. That is in that male countries, E is not there, Egypt is not there, but T is there. Next, Western Sahara and Mauritania. These are the countries which are present in the Maghreb region, right? We have already done the Mediterranean bordering countries. Can you quickly recall again the Mediterranean bordering countries? Yes, please recall. Male T plus BAMS, Croatia and Greece, and the countries that has boundary with both Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean, France and Spain, and Morocco, and the Asian part, Syria, Lebanon, yes, Israel and Cyprus. Very good. Here, Adriatic Sea bordering countries, Italy plus BAMS and Greece and Croatia. ठीक है? Now please find the route, again recall the route from India to Russia via the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. India to Gulf of Aden. From there you want to cross the Bab el-Mandab Strait and then get into Red Sea to Suez Canal to Mediterranean Sea into not Aegean Sea. It is first Sea of, that is Sea of Marmara, Strait of Dardanelles, and then you have Strait of Bosphorus, and then you have Black Sea to Strait of Kerch, and then to Sea of Azov, and then to अभी रशिया ने क्रीमिया को अनेक्स किया तो सीधा ब्लैक सी से जा सकते हैं तो, but just get to know these places. Okay, and here Aegean Sea, I think you can remember. Next is Adriatic Sea and ठीक है, his point is valid. We can also go through Aegean Sea as well. ठीक है? Yes, my bad, I am sorry. ठीक है, thumbs up. ये कल करेंगे बाकी seas, क्योंकि Sea of Japan will be doing with South China Sea and other countries. Now come to Aral Sea. I want you to look into two rivers. One is Amu Darya and Sir Darya. Go to Aral Sea and find out two rivers by the name Amudarya and Sirdarya. Amudarya river and Sirdarya river. Go to your atlas. You'll not find it here. Go to the Asia map. It is in the Central Asia. Sorry, yes, Central Asia. Go to Central Asia and find Amudarya and Sirdarya. These are the two rivers which are draining into the Aral Sea. You know that the size of the Aral Sea got shrinked. Why? Why the sea of the Aral Sea got shrunk? Decrease in? ठीक है. He says that, sir, there is decrease in the influx of the water, but why? What is the reason? Cotton. ठीक है. See, the cultivation of cotton increased over a period of time in this part of the region, and both the rivers, their influx of water got reduced, and the sea water, they started to filter it and they utilized it for cotton. That's why the size of the sea got shrank. And now, see, Aral Sea, if you look into, bordering the Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan ka boundary banta hai. At the same time, you see, the northern part of the Aral Sea, it is having comparatively fresh. The southern part of the Aral Sea, it is more saline. Why? It is because the influx of the water, right? And you know by what size it got shrunk? What size? 90%. 90%. In the last century itself, 90% it got shrunk. Okay? याद रहेगा अमुदरिया सिरदरिया. Next, coming to Tunisia. What is the depression that you get to see in this? Dorsal depression. And what are the two other depressions that you found here in Africa? Katara and Dunkel. Dunkel. Pronunciation में थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो सकता है. Dunkel depression. This Dunkel depression, it is found in Eritrea. ठीक है? Dorsal depression in Tunisia. Now come to Morocco. See, recently we got to see an earthquake in Morocco. That's why just covering it up. See, in Morocco, mostly if you look into, it has seasonal winds. And here in Morocco, you find the dolphins coming onto the coastlines. Why? Because of cold currents. There is an upliftment of the fresh nutrients, and Canary Current hai. That's the reason why you get to see. In this Morocco, historical context, I want you to remember Ibn Battuta. I think everyone knows Ibn Battuta. Who is Ibn Battuta? क्या लिखा इन्होंने? रिहाला. ठीक है? He is a traveler who came in the year which time period? Vijayanagara Empire. Very good. Which century? 12th, 13th. This is all the time. 11th century. This is the time he came, and he has written the extensive roadmaps of this entire region and the representation of the Atlas Mountains. यहाँ पे जो Atlas Mountains है, he compared this Atlas Mountains with the Aravalli Mountains. ठीक है? He is the person who have compared the Atlas Mountains with the Aravalli Mountains. He came to India, right? So earthquake है. In this context, you look into Atlas Mountains here. Atlas Mountains are part of the Morocco. ठीक है? Now, are you aware of the Mediterranean type of climate? पढ़ा है, याद नहीं है. ठीक है? See, what is Mediterranean type of climate? Can anyone tell me what is Mediterranean type of climate? Dry होता है Mediterranean में? Difference between British and Mediterranean. See, where do you find Mediterranean? In the easterly side or on the westerly side? Yes? Is it only found in the Mediterranean region? in different parts of the globe, you'll find on the western margins of the continent, okay, especially in the tropical areas, just north of the tropical areas. See here, Morocco has Mediterranean type of climate in the north. This part of the region, it has Mediterranean. And please find Rif mountains in the north. You find Rif mountains. I think it sometimes in few atlas it is mentioned and few atlas it will not be mentioned. This is called as Rif mountains and Atlas mountains here. Rif and Atlas. Two mountain ranges you will find here. See, because of this Atlas mountains, the wind that is being extended into the Canary area and all, you will not see that similar type of climate on the eastern side of the Atlas. Okay? Atlas mountains actually block that type of climate. The west of Atlas mountain, you find this Mediterranean type of climate. East of the Atlas, you will not find the Mediterranean type of climate. घर जाके एक बार quickly revise करना Mediterranean type of climate क्या होता है, ठीक है? Now come to the Canary Islands. See, these Canary Islands are also present next to the Morocco on the western margins. Canary Island, 1 minute, should be here. It is an overseas territory of Spain. Canary Current, everyone knows, right? I don't think any explanation needed in this part of the area. Canary Current is a cold water current. Now, why is it a cold water current? Because of the upwelling of the water. Is it onshore winds or offshore winds? Onshore or offshore? Do you find onshore winds or offshore winds in this region? Do you find onshore winds or offshore winds? पहले ये बताओ onshore offshore क्या होता है? लैंड से पानी में जा रहे हो तो इतना क्या सोच रहे हो, मतलब see, if the wind is going from land to ocean, it is offshore. Onshore means the wind is coming towards you. ठीक है? Upwelling तब भी होगा when there is an offshore wind. ठीक है? Offshore winds के कारण you will have cold water currents, and these are easterly belts itself. You see, Tropic of Cancer is somewhere south. The easterly winds should go and take place. So Canary Islands are there in the offshore area, and that is the reason why you have this cold water currents. ठीक है? Now, there is another effect which you need to know. Again, current affairs. See, this year what happened is that the Sardine Run is nothing but there is a fish by the name Sardine. ठीक है? This fish, it is present when the water temperature is little more colder, and it is seasonal in nature, because I already told you will also get to see some pseudo type of climates. So ये Sardine आएगा, उसके पीछे पीछे dolphin आएगा, dolphins and sharks also you will find it here. Especially in the tropical area, sharks इतना आसान से मिलता नहीं है, but in the Canary Islands and all you will find sharks very easily because of this Sardine. So this year the Sardine Run was extremely variable, means this should happen during the months of January, February, but this year this phenomena we did not get to see this kind of phenomena. ठीक है? Fishing activities impact हो गया, right? So in the 2023, इसीलिए just याद करना Sardine Run क्या है, sometimes that can be asked in the UPSC. Now come to the next topic, that is your Ethiopia and Tigray region. I think UPSC asked already this question, Tigray कहाँ पर है? Let me show you that question also, I have it. Just a minute. Look at this question. कहाँ पे है टिग्रे? अब तो पता चल गया. Okay, come here. See, what is the conflict here? The conflict here is basically there is a rebellion group which is there in Tigray. Tigray is a place where it is like a province. It is like a state within part of Ethiopia. Now it has boundary lines with international borders. On the other side you have Eritrea. Okay? In the south you have Amhar region. So Amhar region, they have imposed emergency because there are conflicts. 19 people have been killed here in the genocide. That is civil war type kind of conditions you get to see here. There are Tigrarian people, they are not happy with the Ethiopian government. Okay? They started to have a conflicts with Amhar region. So overall there is an unrest. But here you need to know, one Amhar region, other one is Tigray. What is the language spoken? Tigrayan language that is spoken, and it is part of Ethiopia. And what is the capital city of Ethiopia? Yes, Addis Ababa. And now come to open your atlas and look out for the Blue Nile river. Is it passing through the Ethiopia? Yes. So Blue Nile also passes through Ethiopia. Now, in continuation to it, please look into the Horn of Africa. See, Horn of Africa includes 7 countries. 1 Somalia. Look into your atlas. Please look into your atlas. 1 Somalia. Do you have Kenya in it? Yes. Uganda? Yes. Lake Victoria, it is not part of the Horn of Africa. Okay? Lake Victoria is out of Horn of Africa. Come to Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti and Somalia. Okay? The common characteristics of Horn of Africa kya hai? The common characteristics is they are always associated with piracy. Okay? Not just Somalian piracy. The Horn of Africa itself is an indication of piracy. Okay? Their collection or group of countries, they come together, they were the ones who used to extort these ships. So Horn of Africa, it is not just based on the looking like a horn. They have a common characteristics. Horn of Africa has common characteristics. There are highlands. Mostly these are highlands. See, conflicts. Conflicts are common conflicts. One is the rich people who are there, who are living in the plain area, and the poor people who are living in the hilly areas, they always have conflicts. This Horn of Africa is having another common characteristics that rich people who are there in the plain area, they have an exploitation in the hilly people area. जैसे हमने Sudan पढ़ा था, you have seen this Darfur region, a similar kind of conflict you will also see in the Tigray and Amhar region and the rest of the Ethiopia. See, wherever this Nile region goes, it always has a very thick population in that part of the region. Right? So Tigray is one region where the population is sparsely present, not too much of population. They feel that they are alienated from the Ethiopia. So that's the reason why they always fight for it. Next, Danakil Depression we have looked into. What is it? Where is it present? Yes? Ethiopia, or it's in the border of Eritrea and Ethiopia. See, this depression formed because of the upliftment of the rifts, Ethiopian highlands. जैसे जैसे uplift होते जा रहा है, there is a depression that is formed onto the lower end, right? So this is another geographical significance. Here, most of the lakes which are there, they are turning into salt. ठीक है? Most of the lakes which are there, they are turning into salt lakes. ठीक है? Because the height of the lakes is below the sea level. Depressions, जैसे Death Valley है, in all of these areas, if there is a lake that is there, mostly it will be salty in nature. Right? Okay. And this year, you also got to see famine in Somalia. ठीक है? Can you please look into the Somalian boundary countries? There are 3 Somalian boundary countries: Ethiopia, Kenya, and Djibouti. ठीक है? And when it comes to Rwanda, see, Rwanda is always in news every year, one or the other, but I want you to remember 2 communities which are there. That is your Hutsi and Tutsi. Hutus, Tutsi. Hutsi and Tutsi. 2 communities. See, the 2 communities have killed almost 10 lakh people. because of the civil war which has been present. Hutsi and Tutsi in Rwanda, right? These are the two communities that you need to remember, right? What is the capital city of Rwanda? The Kigali Agreement. Okay? What is Kigali Agreement? It is an amendment to the Montreal Protocol. तो किगाली में क्या हुआ था? ऐसा क्या है मॉन्ट्रियल का एग्रीमेंट? Hydrofluorocarbons को phase out. Now Kigali Agreement also includes other than greenhouse gases. Does Kigali Agreement other than greenhouse gases, that is ozone depleting substances छोड़ के, does it also include greenhouse gases? Montreal Protocol is meant for what? Montreal Protocol is meant for ozone depleting substances, CFCs. We have made an amendment in this Kigali itself, in the Rwanda. See, Rwanda, it is very beautiful place, but covered by all sides. It is having lakes and beautiful rivers. In spite of that, the communal non-harmony between Hutsi and Tutsi, it is always in news. But see, this Kigali, it's one of the beautiful cities you will ever see. The Kigali is, if you look into, as if you will feel that, अरे यार इस type का city Africa में कहाँ से? It is like that. Such beautiful it is developed. But look, remember this Montreal Protocol which happened in the Kigali, it includes greenhouse gases also. Okay, it includes greenhouse gases also. In the Montreal, we did not include greenhouse gases. We included primarily the ozone depleting substances. Sometimes these ozone depleting substances can also be greenhouse gases. But now, exclusively, we are also adding greenhouse gases into the Kigali. Right? This is the amendment that you need to remember in this context. And please look out for Lake Kivu. Lake Kivu. Lake Kivu. On the boundary lines of the western boundary. ठीक है? Lake Mugesira. Lake Mugesira on the eastern side. Now see here, you will find a river which is passing through the center of Rwanda. That river will act as a boundary between two communities. One is Hutsu and Tutsi. ठीक है? Northern side, it is mostly the Tutsi tribes. Northern side, it is mostly the Tutsi tribes. In the southern side, you will find the Hutsi tribes, that is Hutu tribes. Hutu or Hutsi, both the same. ठीक है? I think now it is easy for you to remember. इन दोनों में कौन मेजॉरिटी है? Is it Hutus majority or that is Hutsis majority, sir? Hutus are majorities. ठीक है? That majority tribe killed almost 10 lakh people of the other community. There is a civil war. Now come to Lake Victoria. Northern side is the majority, that is Hutus. Now I want you to look into the countries that are bordering with Lake Victoria. Countries that are bordering with Lake Victoria. Countries that are bordering with Lake Victoria. पढ़ना नहीं है, देखना है, अटलस में देखना है. ठीक है? पढ़ेगा तो याद नहीं रहेगा. How many countries are there? Sure, 3. उसी एटलस में प्लीज राइट दिस इंफॉर्मेशन. स्टार मार्क में लिखना नॉट पार्ट ऑफ रिफ्ट वैली. एंड हैंड आउट में द इंफॉर्मेशन इज लिटिल वेरिड. वहाँ पे रिफ्ट वैली का पार्ट करके लिखा है. यस, याद रहेगा these three. Bordering countries are Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. The source of it is the source, also the source for White Nile. Now, where is Blue Nile starting from? Which lake? Blue Nile is from Lake Tana. Tanna ya Tana? पहले डन. Yes, online I'll address your doubts, don't worry. Shaheen Wasi, you can drop a message online. Yes, you can drop me a personal message. I'll share my number at the end. First, Lake Victoria, it is the source of White Nile, and now when it comes to the Blue Nile, see, it is not just one lake, it is a collection of lakes. In Ethiopia, you have two major lakes. Now please look into your atlas. You will find a lake by the name Lake Assai, Assai, and Lake Tana. Lake Assai and Lake Tana. So the small streams which are originating from these lakes, they combine and join together to form the Blue Nile. Lake Tana and Lake Assai, Assai. Lake Tana, is it that significant? Any article which is there on that? Water flow, is Ethiopia stopping it? Stopping? Okay. ठीक है, let me do the research. If it is relevant for the examination, then we'll discuss in the next class. ठीक है? And coming to the next topic, that is Cyclone Freddy. कहाँ है? You know that Cyclone Freddy, this is one of the largest or else longest duration cyclone which has been there for almost 4 weeks. दो बार लैंडफॉल हुआ इसका, ठीक है, घूम फिर कर दोबारा आया था, and it has caused lot of damage to the Mozambique. See, look, Mozambique, it is found next to the Madagascar. There is a Mozambique channel and the Agulhas Current passes through this. Agulhas Current passes through this Mozambique. Now see, the famous river that you will get to see here is Zambezi River. And Mozambique is one particular country which has multiple small streams, just like deltaic regions बहुत ज़्यादा हैं यहाँ पर, ठीक है? Multiple small streams are there. Because of this multiple small streams, if suppose a cyclone which is entering in, it still has the potential to take that energy from these small streams, which are wider. ठीक है? The water is spread little wider, and small streams, multiple streams are joining. So these rivers, they have aided the Cyclone Freddy again, so that cyclone came again and hit it. So in this context, the Mozambique is in news. यहाँ पे आपको जो याद करना है, that is your Zambezi River. Zambezi River, it is present in Mozambique. Now, rivers will do it. See, there are major rivers that are there. All these rivers will do it, river basins will do it together. We need not know what are the tributaries and all, but you definitely need to know what are the major basins, at least the overall Niger River basin, as well as the Congo, these basins which you need to know. So, come to the next article, that is Kafe National Park. Now, why is this in news? I told you there are two animals, they have been started coming back, the population increased. One is leopards and lions. Okay. Other animals such as elephants, buffaloes, these animals also started to come back. Now, ऐसा क्या हुआ, इन्होंने क्या किया? Yes. ऐसा क्या हुआ? मतलब the lions started to come back to this part of the region. Now, why is this relevant to India? Why is this relevant to India? Asiatic lions, nahi. Actually, we are training this particular national park. The India is training. Jim Corbett Research Center is training this particular national park. I think that point they have missed to add it in the handout, but please put a star mark and write that Jim Corbett National Park Authority, which is there along with the Gir National Park. Gir and Jim Corbett, they are giving inputs and training the Kafe National Park. They have increased the prey base. Because of that, the other animals also started to follow. Right? And here you'll also find the Zambezi River also flowing through this national park. Okay? Zambezi River is also flowing through this national park. Next, come to Nigeria. Now here on, these are little more factual content. It's just that Nigeria is in news because of the political turmoil. Okay? And see here, India का सबसे ज़्यादा auto sales जो होता है ना, Africa में होता है. Indian companies जैसे Mahindra है, right? Maruti and all. We sell too much in the Africa. And Indian pharma industries are also very goodly selling into the Western African region. जो सबसे ज़्यादा impacted sectors in India, it is because of these coups and political unrest is India. ठीक है? Why? Our auto sector and pharma sector is very widely present there, right? Generic medicines we sell to the government there at a higher price. In India, the generic medicines are very cheaper, but in Africa we sell at a higher price. So on one side, because of this political unrest, the rebel groups come in, they cancel the tie-ups. Again, the government comes up, they make the tie-ups. In this, we lost the harmony of the Indian pharma and auto sectors. So in this sector, in this context, Nigeria becomes very, very important because this is the country where highest trade we do with this sector. ठीक है? So once quickly look into the boundary countries, Nigeria and the boundary countries. Nigeria and the boundary countries. And the last article, Gulf of Guinea. Now why this Gulf of Guinea? Because in this part of the region, we have done the first naval exercise. It is India and EU. ठीक है? Yes. That is also here. So India and EU, we have done an exercise here. Now that's why this is important. So here, You see that, can you look into the atlas and find the intersection point of the prime meridian with that of the equator? Intersection point of the prime meridian and that of the equator. ठीक है? Intersection point of the prime meridian and equator. So we symbolically went there, and this is the place where we have done this naval exercise, right? So this is also called as the 0 degree naval exercise. कहाँ जाता है? 0 degree naval exercise. मतलब I did not get. Place, it is intersection is in the ocean, right? That is the place where that is 0 degree naval exercise. That is where we have done. There's no specific place name to that. ठीक है? So in this context, Gulf of Guinea is in use, right? Now see, there's too much of content. All this content you need not remember. What we shall be doing is, one more important concept that you need to know about Africa here is the river basins. ठीक है? Can you draw this particular map in your notes or paper? हाँ बनाओ. हाँ क्लिक करो, कोई इशू नहीं है. विक्टोरिया फॉल्स कौन सा रिवर पर है? विक्टोरिया फॉल्स. विक्टोरिया लेक इज देयर. Zambezi river. ठीक है? Victoria Falls is on Zambezi river. Now look into the observations here. The equator passes through Congo and Nile. It is passing through the Congo river and the White Nile. ठीक है? I think ऐसे ही ड्रॉ किया गया. It is Blue Nile itself. No. Blue Nile, this is Khartoum. This look into atlas. No, that's a long line. It's a wrong line. Because such a long river, we should be knowing it. Okay, ignore that. Now, some important dams are there. That important dams you need to know. See India's contribution into these important dams. First is, if you have your atlas, you can also keep open your atlas. Go to the physical map. In the physical map, on the Blue Nile, you will find Sennar Dam. ठीक है, SENNAR. Did you find it? These two dams are very, very important. Are you talking about Sennar? But ये तो पुराना डैम है. It is not a new dam.
No, sir. I think that is Tana Dam. Tana Dam is being built.
Tana Dam. Is India helping it? पानी रोक रहे ताकि they don't want to give water to the north. Okay. Now, in the same diagram, I want you to draw the physiographic regions. आपने ये atlas draw किया ना? Sorry, this map you have drawn here. This is Sahara, ठीक है? And then this part of the region is Sahel, little savanna, and then equatorial rainforest region. Again, desert, two deserts, Kalahari, Namib, and you have Karu lands. Here you have escarpments. Okay? Now there are some plateaus. See, the interesting aspect of Africa is that most of the rivers, except for the Congo and the Lake Victoria originating rivers, other rivers are originating on the plateaus. So the river originates on the plateau, on the highlands, and then flows downward. Okay? You see, in India, a similar kind of plateau is there, Amarkantak Plateau. Amarkantak Plateau, the river originates and then the four major rivers move downward. Likewise, the rest of the rivers which you get to see, if there is an origin, that means there is a plateau. If you look into, find out a plateau by the name Bai Plateau, which will be present here. Bai Plateau. BIE, Bai Plateau. BIE, Bai Plateau, and HUILA, Hulia Plateau. ठीक है? ये दोनों plateaus ना, they give origins to the rivers. If you look there, multiple streams flows from that river, flows from that plateau. ठीक है? Now go to Ethiopia. See, Ethiopia is also a plateau region and good number of rivers also originate from there. Right? ये जो lakes है, what are the lakes which you are seeing in Ethiopia? The origin of the origin of the Blue Nile, Lake Asai, and the Lake Tana. They are actually present on the highlands. ठीक है? These two lakes are present on the plateau. ठीक है? So ये lakes ना काफी height से नीचे आता है. Lakes are present at a greater height and the river flows at a lower height. So that's why the rivers which are flowing in Africa are fast flowing rivers. They are not slow flowing rivers because the gradient which they go through is very high. And Africa is one of the oldest continent which you get to see. So that's why the sediments in the rivers is not too high. जैसे sediments in the Godavari river, sediments in the Krishna river, they are not too high. It is because they are passing through the plateau regions. Very strong rocks are there, old. Likewise, African rivers, they do not have great sediments. ठीक है? Because most of it is a plateau. Right? I know this is too much of a content for you, but see, read the handout couple of times and we'll revise all the content again and again. When we revise it multiple number of times, then it becomes easy for you. Right? See, I'll share this PDF also with you. ठीक है? For your reference. But इसमें जो कुछ भी दिया है सब important नहीं है. It is only for your reference. Your reference point, your primary reading should come from this handout and the content. Revise it. ठीक है? Multiple times. We'll revise it in the class, in the next class, whenever there is, the first 15 minutes is always kept for the revision. and this PDF will help you to just quickly give a glimpse. ठीक है? And mountains important नहीं है. हाँ, plateaus. We'll see in the next class, in the starting, plateaus and all. Plateaus and deserts we'll look into the next class. ठीक है? We'll stop it here. In the next class, we'll continue. ठीक है? So those of you who did not get the handout, in the YouTube itself, there is a link in the description. Take the link in the description and download it. Only African content you will get for this class. So once go through the African content, we'll revise in the next class and we'll do the next continent again. See, if you're thorough with this, I don't think more questions can be asked for mapping also. कहीं ऐसा scope नहीं है UPSC को भी इतना depth में जाके पूछने का. ठीक है? And one more thing, if all the names are given in this handout, don't blindly mug it up. This handout is meant to be read and looked into Atlas. While you are reading this, just have a look into the Atlas. Visualization is 50 to 60% of the solution. ठीक है? You cannot remember the entire Atlas. Even me teaching for last 5 to 6 years, I cannot remember it. ठीक है? So don't do that mistake. Don't learn like a teacher. ठीक है? Learn like a smart aspirant. Listen, whenever teacher is teaching, try to learn it. But don't think whatever I have taught here, you wanted to abruptly put it into the mind. Then the problem comes into picture. जो words हमने class में, whatever the words which we have used, those places which we have seen, just go and look into the Atlas. ठीक है? Over a period of time, when you are multiple times when you are looking in, only then it will make easy. You cannot learn it in one day. 5 to 6 days, give some time to me. You will be comfortable with this particular mapping, right? So next class timing will be informed to you. Tomorrow we'll do not have class. Until tomorrow, please revise this content. ठीक है? Next class timing, it is day after tomorrow. It will be there. So same time, we'll be meeting here, right? Thank you. Thank you online.